We are recording right now, Monday evening. It is 8:30 on the West Coast. We have a waiver wire edition of this podcast. Keegan had some scheduling conflicts when we were supposed to record, but after the New York Jets won an absolute, I don't even know how to describe that game. The emotional roller coaster the Jets fans have been on this evening, he was able to move some things around, and we have Keegan Thomson here joining us to recap what was honestly one of the more theatrical endings to an NFL game you will see. The Jets lose Aaron Rodgers potentially for the season with a torn Achilles, and Zach Wilson somehow leads a comeback. Keegan, the floor is yours. How are you doing?
I have been on such a roller coaster of emotions tonight, from watching Aaron Rodgers lose his Achilles on the third snap of his NFL career to
NFL career,
the Jets,
his Jets career
of his Jets career. Sorry, dude, I'm fired the fuck up, dude. I can't.
Same thing.
From Josh Allen playing maybe the worst football game of his career, dating back to his rookie year, to Jordan Whitehead having 3 interceptions and being one of the Bills' reception leaders on the night, to Zach Wilson being Zach Wilson, to Breece Hall breaking an 86-yard run after just 8 months from a torn ACL, from Xavier Gibson, the undrafted free agent rookie, walk-off kick return in overtime to win the game. I don't even know how to properly feel right now. I, on one hand, am sad because this season could be cooked. But on the other hand, we just beat the division rivals, Buffalo Bills, on Monday night in one of the most electric Jets games I have ever watched. I'm feeling every emotion there is possible right now. I don't know if I could be sad or I could be happy. The Garrett Wilson catch was something out of a movie.
Insane.
I mean, he played DB and played wide receiver, because Zach Wilson is a terrible quarterback and yet somehow still made maybe the biggest catch of his young career to date. I don't even know what to say. I just rambled. I said a bunch of things, but I don't know what to say. This is special. It's a shame that Aaron Rodgers will not play a snap for this team this year, because this Jets team is fucking special, y'all.
That defense is nasty. Let's just start there. I think that defense absolutely showed up and gave Zach Wilson and that offense a chance to capitalize on all those Josh Allen mistakes. Like, they're not in that game without the defense. Josh Allen was in hell today.
What is
where his kryptonite?
What is Ken Dorsey doing? I don't get why they call the plays that they do. I don't know why they're so aggressive. James Cook was kind of getting the golf ball going. They have Damian Harris. They have Latavius Murray. Like, you don't need to be taking deep shots down the field when the team has a quarterback that can barely complete a pass. And I think that game was an incredible comeback for the New York Jets, an incredible story. Where this season goes for them, I don't know. But beating the Bills, division rival, I mean, you got to feel decent about where the season's headed after getting a win like that, even though without Aaron Rodgers. But the Bills, what was that? I know this is a fantasy football podcast, but that was inexcusable. You cannot lose that game under any circumstances. And I think we learned a lot about the Bills tonight and the Jets. That was, what a win. And I loved the Jets run game.
That's gutsy.
The Jets run game was sick. I don't know. Breece Hall might be the best running back in the NFL. That was insane what he was doing there tonight. I mean,
every touch was just like hyper efficient. Like, the first
explosive.
2 went for 80 total yards.
Everything is just an explosive with that guy.
Dude was exhausted out there, but he looked good. He looked good. And Dalvin Cook looked like Dalvin Cook, which is awesome. Dalvin looked good. I think they're going to have a pretty good 2-headed monster there. I don't know what that split looks like going forward, but like, you've got to feel good about week 1 with those 2 guys in your back, because they're only going to get healthier. They're only going to get in better game shape. They're only going to get better. I kind of the best way to put that. It's only going to get better there.
Are you bringing in Carson Wentz? Like, what's the plan at quarterback here, Keegan? Like, is it
no? We just ride with Zach Wilson.
So you
I mean, it kind of makes sense. You did take him number 2 overall, so I feel like you kind of just have
Robert
to
Sala already said after the game that Zach Wilson will be the starter for the remainder of the season. Like, they will confirm what their fear is, and the fear is Aaron Rodgers has ruptured his Achilles and he will miss the season. This is great for the trade. Now Packers will just get a second-round draft pick for Aaron Rodgers.
Yes,
we will keep our first-round draft pick this year when we inevitably go 7-10 under Zach Wilson and an amazing defense again. It's miserable. Like, don't let my excitement fool you right now. Like, this is maybe the most miserable way this season could have started. I mean, I waited 13 years to have a Jets team like this. I waited 13 years. Like, to this date, 13 years ago, we were leading and we had lost against Baltimore in week 1, and we would go on to go 11-5 and go to the AFC Championship game again with Mark Sanchez. And I have not been this excited for a football season since that day in 2010. And Aaron Rodgers is gone, and we're left with Zach Wilson and Tim Boyle to potentially take this loaded roster to the playoffs. I don't know what they do. I mean, I would love if they gave Jameis Winston a call. I think all the Carson Wentz, Matt Ryan, Nick Foles shit is crap. I'd rather have Zach Wilson over all of them, but maybe call Jameis. I don't know. But for now, I'm going to enjoy this win and relish in the fact that we have an elite defense. You can say all you want about Josh Allen and the Bills, but our defense was fucking phenomenal tonight. And Jordan Whitehead had a massive start to a season on a crazy comeback year after a lot of people were talking shit about him. And he picks off Josh Allen 3 times tonight. Quinnen was a monster. Jermaine Johnson was a monster. DJ Reed was great. Sauce kind of got cooked tonight.
A little bit.
Sauce got cooked a little bit.
But Stephon Diggs is one of the best in the business.
Of course. If
you're going to get cooked, like you don't want to get cooked by, I don't know.
I'm sorry for all Garrett Wilson drafters. You'll be in hell all year. But I am here to congratulate everybody who took a chance on Breece Hall this year and decided that the fade was silly because Breece Hall is back.
The Garrett Wilson wide receiver 1 train is probably headed directly back to the station. It feels really harsh for him to be able to do that with Zach Wilson.
I don't know how he gets there, man. They're like going to throw the ball like 8 times a game. It is going to be a heavy run offense.
I have to ask an Aaron Rodgers question.
Yeah.
I know we all expected Aaron to play 2 or 3 years in New York. Does a ruptured Achilles at the age of 39 going on 40 potentially
he's
push
done.
Aaron Rodgers
He's
into
cooked.
retirement?
Yeah.
He's cooked.
But does Aaron Rodgers retire?
Mid-season?
No.
No, he probably stays with the...
But does Aaron Rodgers
he'll
play
stay on as
year?
he'll basically be an additional offensive coordinator for Zach Wilson and maybe Jameis Winston if we go out.
But does he play next year is kind of the
no,
thought.
No, because what's going to happen is we'll fall flat on our face and we'll be in position to draft one of the top quarterbacks this year.
That's a brutal injury for that age. If it ends up being a fully ruptured Achilles, which Saul pretty much already hinted at. He said, yeah, I think I saw the quote and it said not good, which is just a nice way of saying, yeah, it's not good. But I'm pretty jealous for you. That was awesome because we had 3 results in this group out of our teams. We had a complete ass kicking by my rival, Shaun's team, a complete ass kicking of the Pittsburgh Steelers, and then you had pretty much every motion in between plus more on both sides of it. And wow, like early on, I was like, I might be turning this thing on at half, or like I might turn this off at half. Like this
the defense is too good. The defense is too good to be out of games. It's the same story as last year. We're going to look at this roster and be like, oh, they're just a QB away. And we are. And that's why we went and got Aaron Rodgers. And you know what? I don't even know like when the endorphins will wear off on me. And I'm sure like reality will hit me in the face when I wake up tomorrow. And I will know that the season is over before it even started. But at least we have tonight. We'll always have tonight. We'll always remember this day.
They can never take this away.
We'll never forget tonight.
I think this says a lot about the Bills. I know we're talking a lot about the Jets. I cannot believe the Bills lost that game. I
think so too, but
can't believe.
But I don't think we're going to go down the path of like this is a bad football team.
No.
Like,
but this is like a team that I don't think is serious. I don't think that's a serious team.
Yeah,
I think
the Jets like deserve credit and they deserve their flowers. But the Bills, to a degree, like lost this football.
Of course.
What the fuck are they doing? What are you doing? Like the one, 2 of those picks were just like, Josh Allen, what the fuck are you doing? And then he pretty much butt fumbled. Like that's damn near a butt fumble what he did there to lead to that Jets field goal towards the end of regulation. Like fumbles the snap, gets up, kind of runs into his lineman, then just gets smacked by, I don't know, Keegan probably tell me whatever defensive tackle or end that was that just smacked his ass and made him fumble. You're on mute.
Michael Clemens is the one who made him fumble.
Was that the guy that was shirtless with the baseball bat in Hard
Texas
Knocks?
A&M Aggie legend.
Giga, what a hero. That was fucking wild. What an awesome way to wrap up week 1, though. That was special, man. Divisional victories are so crucial, too. Like, those tiebreakers at the end of the year with how, tight that division is, kind of expecting to be.
Oh, man, dude. Chuck Bass just tweeted, Can Jets fuel melt Aaron Rodgers' heel beams? Oh.
No. Twitter was so quick. Like, dude, the guy isn't even on the card yet, and people are just getting off cheap shots. But
oh, dude, I haven't come down to earth yet, but I will. And the season's over.
The morning might be rough. The morning might be rough. Like the realization.
No, it'll be rough once I go to bed tonight and look at my phone at all of the suspicious reports that are saying, Jets Rodgers
don't go on Twitter.
Confirmed.
Just don't go on Twitter till the morning. Just, I don't know.
I mean, it's cooked. We're cooked, but that was fun. I mean, what a way to end your season, right? 1-0. I mean, incredible way.
That was your Super Bowl.
In a league we all play in, you shit pumped me too, Keegan. So that was cool. You took me behind the woodshed and the Jets win. So that's not a bad one.
I had a great weekend in fantasy football as well, too. I'm not going to lie. I went crazy in the fantasy football world. But what matters is it's all over. This was fun. Like, this was really, really fun. But
that house kick.
We played the...
It was like a rave. It was like a rave when he got in the end zone. Like, the lights were going on and off. Like, it was something
that
else.
was crazy, actually.
I should have known something was wrong when we had severe weather warnings, 2 hours before the game.
Yeah, at
something was
MetLife.
off.
Those two things don't go well together.
Yeah, MetLife turf, by the way. Like, come on.
Criminal.
We got to be over this.
Enough about the Jets. Should we talk about waiver wires?
About week 2 waiver wires. Maybe not everyone did as well as Keegan did in fantasy this week. And maybe you lost your starting quarterback, Aaron Rodgers. Maybe
I also lost Aaron Rodgers in a super flex.
Maybe Deontay Johnson, Christian Watson, and Mark Andrews are all hurt for your team, just like the team that I have that lost to Keegan. So
J.K. Dobbins.
Yeah, J.K. Dobbins got hurt. You are probably going to have to make some moves this week. We have our priority waiver list. So Aidan and I went through this. Keegan did not. So Keegan's just here for vibes and moral support, so we appreciate you.
I'm ready to go off the cuff. I've already got some in stock.
Okay.
I love that.
Aidan, I went position by position. Quarterbacks are not that important, I feel like. I mean, do you want to...
I've got a list.
Let's start... Okay, so how about this? Let's go running back, wide receiver. Let's go quarterback
tight end.
And then tight end. Tight end.
No one's listening by the time we get to tight end, and we fucking hate them.
Keegan knows. We used to hit some home runs. We used to hit some fucking home runs on tight end last year. I mean, Kate Otten was a Hall of Famer in our waiver special last year. So for the prefaces of today's exercise, waivers are 35% ownership or less. So if Nico Collins, Tyler Algier, and Zay Jones are out there, go grab them. Go pick those guys up immediately. If for some reason, I don't know, Zay Flowers is owned by a lot of people. If we're going 35% and below. And when we go ownership, we are going off of Sleeper. This is a Sleeper podcast here. Okay, so Aidan, why don't you kick things off? We're going to start with running back. I have 3, you have 3. Let's kind of go through this pretty quickly here. It's going to be a lot of information for our listeners, but I think it'll be important for them to get.
I would assume we're going to have some overlap too. Me and Shaun did not share, so we're probably going to have a couple ones. So I think you could go one of 2 as like your top running back priority. I went with Josh Kelley personally of the Los Angeles Chargers. Really for 2 reasons. One, the guy looks good. I think, Chargers fans have been waiting on him to kind of pop for a while. That's kind of like the backup and really secure that running back 2 role. And he looked awesome. He had 16 carries for 91 yards and a touchdown. Only 1 target, but awesome game from him. And Austin Eckler has an ankle injury. We don't know how severe that ankle injury is, though. But at this point, if Austin Eckler is forced to miss any time, like this is like a top 10, top 20 weekly play in Josh Kelley. We've seen what Austin Eckler's doing on a week-to-week basis. Josh Kelley is currently on 7% of rosters and was somehow started by 1% of some of you bold sickos out there with Josh Kelley jerseys. So Josh Kelley should definitely be a priority for you. If you're an Eckler owner, absolutely. Even if you just need a running back, I'm absolutely prioritizing Josh Kelley this week.
I have Josh Kelley here as my number one priority at running back.
Yep.
Austin Eckler's dealing with a ankle injury. We were looking at that while we were watching the game. I was like, where's Eckler? And it's like, Eckler's fine. I'm like, no, Eckler wasn't on the final drive. Their offense did not look as good passing the ball with Joshua Kelley on the field. But Joshua Kelley looked great running the ball. 17 carries, 91 yards. He also had a touchdown. He's the clear handcuff to Eckler, even if Eckler plays, which he probably will, knowing Eckler. But he has weekly flex appeal, even if Eckler's playing. And then we're talking top 12 running back if Eckler were to miss time. That run offense looked fantastic. So, yeah, I agree. This would be a max bid for me. If you're playing in a fab league and you have Eckler, I would go like 30 to 40% fab. I think he's worth that much, especially if you have Eckler. If you don't have Eckler, maybe 15 to 25% fab. So I have him as my number one running back ad. My second guy that I have running at running back is Roschon Johnson. So Roschon Johnson is the rookie for the Chicago Bears. I've got Roschon Johnson clocked in here. Let me see what his ownership is. Roschon Johnson's
awesome.
ownership on Sleeper is 31%. For context, Joshua Kelley is 7%. So he had a light work on the ground, but he got very busy in garbage time as the preferred pass-catching option out of the backfield. He had 7 targets with a rushing quarterback. That's pretty fantastic to see in garbage time. And he did get in the end zone on one of his 5 carries. So I could easily see him, as the season goes along, taking more snap share on this backfield. And he looked really good. I'm a big believer in Khalil Herbert. He was one of my favorite late-round running back picks, but I think that this becomes more of a 50-50 split as Deontay Foreman gets phased out. And I think by the end of the year, it could be a situation where it's Roschon's backfield. So could have some weekly appeal and plus matchups, but I think it's mostly a stash play. What do you think on Roschon as our resident Chicago Bears fan?
Yeah, I completely agree. There's kind of like, he's the best at pretty much like all 3 phases of the game out of those 3 backs. He's a fantastic runner, great pass catcher, and he's the best pass blocker out of all 3. I think you already saw flashes of all 3 of those in yesterday's game, as ugly as it was. Deontay Foreman will be phased out. And yeah, to your point, I could see Roschon Johnson dominating that backfield by the end of the year, but I'm probably not ready to start him, especially against a Tampa Bay front 7 that doesn't really line up to be a great matchup for them this week. But I'm absolutely trying to get him on my rosters, even though I've already got him in a couple.
My last waiver wire ad that I have here, it's more of a deeper cut. I don't know if you're going to have it. So I'm going to keep my fingers crossed to see if I came with it with a unique one here. I've got Chuba Hubbard as my third priority waiver wire guy. In PFF does their rushing grades. He actually finished as the second highest runner this week. Roschon was 4th, by the way. He had 9 carries for 60 yards. He forced 4 missed tackles on 9 carries. He had a 36% snap share, a 28% attempt share, and a 31% route participation. He was clearly involved in this game. This was more of a committee than I think people were ready to admit. And they were losing by 14. And Miles Sanders had a good role in terms of his usage with carries and targets. It was actually a super attractive role for fantasy, with fantasy points as like bell cow usage index. I wouldn't be starting Hubbard anytime soon, but he got more run than I expected with Miles Sanders, and he's pretty damn good when he plays. It's now been like a year and a half of Chuba Hubbard being a pretty decent running back. So I've got him as my third priority guy. Is there another guy that you have here that I missed, Aidan?
Yeah, this one is obviously more owned. He's just below 40%, but I think it's worth noting given the percentage of touches he got in this backfield, and that's Kenneth Gainwell.
Yes.
If he's still on your waiver wires, you absolutely need to be owning him at this point. Like, it just feels like deja vu again that like DeAndre Swift is just like not getting these touches in the backfield, and it's like I think in that backfield like they just trust Kenneth Gainwell. Not to mention like the guys ahead of him are so injury prone. It's like we're one injury away from Kenneth Gainwell being like a dozen plus touches on a weekly basis. He had 14 carries this week and 4 targets, caught them all. He was only running back 23, not the most efficient, but if Kenneth Gainwell is still on your waiver wire, you should absolutely be snatching them up.
Yeah, we got to talk about that. We got
Ridiculous.
Swift pilled and Penny pilled, and Gainwell was like a bell cow.
Okay, I will go opposite of you and say there is no way the Eagles can trot out that rushing offense again
and win
next week.
Yeah,
and win. And I feel like as insurance, you should actually go pick up Rashad Penny. Rashad Penny will not be a healthy scratch next week. And I think if you're looking at Gainwell, and I understand the waiver wire pickup because he's extremely involved in the offense, but I think you also need to go ahead and just like grab a potential backup plan if you have the extra space, because there's no way they do that rushing offense again. Like Gainwell was a bell cow for sure, but Swift will be more involved. And I think having Penny just in case, like it's week 2, you can take a roster spot, like pick him up and see what happens, because you never know. I feel like Penny's probably the best true runner on that team.
Would you pick up Penny over Gainwell?
I don't know if it was like if Kenny Gainwell was on the waiver, sure, I'll pick him up. But Kenny Gainwell might be rostered at this point in some of your leagues. Like if you want a piece of the Eagles offense, I would go with the other Eagles back that's probably not on a roster, which would be Rashad Penny. And then before we move on to the next position, I think it's actually a really good time to pick up the rookie running backs on waivers. And I have a feeling that people will drop them due to frustration on their usage. Juwan A-Chain specifically. Salvin Ahmed was not very involved. They obviously trust Mostert a lot. But, A-Chain's battling a shoulder injury and he healthy scratched, even though he practiced all week. And I understand that. Jeff Wilson's still on IR. Like, Tank Bigsby fumbled, but they obviously trust him and they gave him more touches later. Sharp usage, not incredible or encouraging, but now is the time to like go stash those young rookie running backs. Like that would be my other suggestion on the running back front. And then lastly, I do not suggest picking up any Baltimore Ravens running back. I feel like we've seen that.
To have that conversation. That's going to be.
We've seen that every year, and you play that game, and it's not fun to play. Like it was either J.K. Dobbins or nothing. Like you didn't draft Justice Hill, you didn't draft Gus Edwards, you don't draft Melvin Gordon for a reason. Like you only drafted Dobbins, and I feel like that's the one to avoid. But I definitely think keying in on the rookie running backs now, while it's probably easier to get them and people are down on them, and then take a shot on Rashad Penny this week.
Yeah, I remember last year. Kenneth Walker had no involvement for the first 2 weeks of that offense, coming off of injury. All of a sudden, he explodes with a huge role. I've already seen people saying they want to drop Zach Charbonnet. If anyone drops Zach Charbonnet, Devon A-Chain, scoop them up. Remember, rookies are in roles.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
Rookies are in roles later on in the season. I find it hilarious that Roschon Johnson was more involved than Jahmyr Gibbs at this point, but I digress. Yes, Aidan.
I was going to say Sharp's usage just absolutely killed me. Like, he had 3 carries, I think, for not in the slightest. No. We thought that was
Walker was the bell cow.
Pushing Walker at least for some more touches. Like, yeah, if you find him on waivers, do it. Yeah, there's some good backs in there. They're like week 1. There's going to be potential starters at most of these positions, which is awesome. So use your fab wisely. Don't blow your load and use all of it, but
to you guys' point on the first running back you guys touched on, I would blow my load on Joshua Kelley, especially
Joshua Kelley is probably the only one I would put more than
pause. Yeah, that was insane. That was insane. Yeah, Joshua Kelley's the guy. If I had to pick a Ravens running back, I am picking Gus Edwards. He's just been there before.
I'm picking Gus Edwards.
Justice Hill, whatever. Again, if you want to play that game, Gus Edwards.
Justice Hill got the first touch. Justice Hill got the first touch after J.K. Dobbins went out, and Gus Edwards didn't touch the ball the entire time that J.K. Dobbins was in. That's exactly what I'm saying. Don't even recommend
Gus Edwards. But
if you hate yourself, grab Melvin Gordon.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm not playing that game. I'm going for Joshua Kelley, Roschon Johnson, Kenneth Gainwell for sure. Touching on the Gainwell thing, he's already hurt, so he's an undersized back who got a bell cow role, already got hurt. Nick Sirianni's saying they already want to get Swift more touches. Whatever. They'll figure out their backfield. That's going to be a mess all season. Moving on to wide receivers here, kicking things off. The number 1 priority target, and he's probably my number 1 priority target out of all players on the waivers this week, is Puka Nacua. So
It's Puka.
We used Puka as kind of a funny name to be like, don't listen to every analyst just shilling you random names that they're going to be great. Like, how many times do we hear about a rookie wide receiver who's supposed to be good and they completely faceplant? And then this guy comes out as a 5th round rookie wide receiver in what we thought would be one of the worst dysfunctional offenses in football, and literally just does a Cooper Kupp impression. His numbers were insane. He had 14 targets, 10 receptions, 119 yards. He scored 21.9 fantasy points. He had a 95% route participation. 30% of his routes came in the slot. 70% came out wide. Cooper Kupp's replacement in the offense so far, but when Kupp is back, he's going to slide into that wide receiver 2 role. Kind of crazy to think how fast Van Jefferson was neutralized after 1 week. Tutu Atwell was a more impactful wide receiver than Van Jefferson. Maybe he was getting shadow coverage by who's the really good corner on the Seahawks?
Tariq Woolen.
Yeah, Tariq Woolen. Maybe Van Jefferson was getting shadow coverage by Tariq Woolen. I don't know what the breakdown was on that, but Puka is a rookie doing this in his first game. He's putting up like Anquan Bolden rookie first debut games, and that does not happen often. And if Matthew Stafford's slanging it and Sean McVay is calling it, I feel really comfortable spending a good amount of fab on Puka Nacua. What are your thoughts on Puka, Aidan and Keegan?
Yeah, I'm a big fan. There was 3 wide receivers who finished in the top 10 this week that did not score a touchdown. It was Puka, Justin Jefferson, and Chris Olave. Like, insane volume for a 5th round rookie. Like Van Jefferson, it's like the Andy like used toy thing. Like we're done with Van Jefferson. I'm done with Van Jefferson. We're not doing that anymore. Like Tutu Atwell is ahead of Van Jefferson for me in terms of my wide receiver,
what an overreaction.
Breakdown at this point. Like even when Cooper Kupp comes back, obviously Puka will not be this high volume, but this looks like to be the number 2 wide receiver in that offense, which supported multiple 100-yard receivers this week. Sure, maybe they're not in the same passing script going forward week to week, but you've got to assume Matthew Stafford, like
he looks so good.
You just earned this man's trust. He earned his trust. It's like, Matthew Stafford looked good.
Really good.
And it's like, yo, young fella, you're catching balls, you're making big plays for me. Like, I'm going to look your way. So, absolutely. Puka is going to be, if you're in a league that isn't using Fab and you don't have the number 1 waiver pickup, like you're not getting Puka. So hopefully you get Fab and at least you get a fair shot at it.
It's Amon-Ra St. Brown-esque. It's ARSB-esque, that performance. Rookie ARSB. Chill. That was rookie, dude.
It's week 1.
He had 15 targets. It was 15 targets. That was a rookie Amon-Ra St. Brown performance.
Crazy.
That was insane.
Because Cooper Kupp's not playing. Chill. I don't think you guys need to blow your Fab on Puka Nacua.
Why wouldn't you?
We're talking about a first-round rookie, Puka Nacua.
Your 5th round rookie.
He had a good game.
Dude.
Keegan. 5th round rookie. I didn't mean first round.
Keegan, he had 15 targets. Bro.
You just compared him to ARSB.
Yes. Do you want me to pull up the ARSB end of year rookie numbers? Guess what round ARSB was taken in?
I don't care. That's not a comparison. It's Puka
They play the
Nacua.
slot. They're a little bit slower. Amon-Ra St. Dude, I'm telling you, Puka Nacua was PFF's number 1 graded wide receiver out of BYU.
You're not going to pick
last
up
year.
Puka Nacua and put him in your starting lineup next week. Like, you're just not going to do it.
Not against the Niners.
You might.
Not against the Niners.
Yeah,
but you're picking his ass up.
Depending on what your wide receiver room looks like, you might be playing.
I mean, we're talking max
not
bid.
against the Niners.
Like, we're talking
not against
30, 40%.
I'm a Cooper Kupp team, and I'm not going to bid on Puka Nacua.
That's just...
Don't take the bait.
That's foolish.
That's foolish, dude.
Foolish is calling him... You could go get Jacoby Myers on the waiver wire instead of Puka Nacua.
Oh, come on.
Jacoby Myers just got a concussion.
And Jacoby Myers is owned in so many leagues. Are you kidding me? What?
50%. 50% is not that much.
Come on. Puka Nacua is owned in 11%. I'm telling you. I would
got him at 10.
Look, Jacoby Myers.
Rashid Shaheed or Puka Nacua?
Puka Nacua.
Puka.
I've got Rashid. We got Rashid Shaheed here too.
I had him.
This should have been on our
number 2.
week 1 overreactions episode.
I had one before Shaheed, actually.
This is classic week 1 overreaction.
I don't think 15 targets is a week 1 overreaction. Aidan, who's your?
I don't think so.
Who's
either.
your second guy?
So my number 2, you're very familiar with him. He used to sport the burgundy and gold at one point in his career, and that's Kendrick
Bourne. I think this is more week 1 than Puka Nacua is, but Kenny Bourne's on my list.
Know.
So why don't you talk through Kendrick Bourne?
It's worth noting what Kendrick Bourne did in week 1. He was by far the highest target earner in an offense which no one really expected anything from this week. That's a tough Philadelphia matchup, or at least we thought. He caught 6 of his 11 targets for 64 yards and 2 touchdowns. Good for wide receiver 6. Like you said, this could be a week 1 kind of fool's gold thing, but someone has to catch the ball in that offense. Juju's health is an issue for me. That was never a guy that I was going to target. The second most amount of targets was Demario Douglas with 7. And then you've kind of got the tight ends who are going to play a role in that offense as well. This is a guy that, could end the year with the most amount of targets in this offense. It doesn't need to be an amazing offense. Like, if you're the leading target earner, like, you're a weekly flex consideration. And I think Kendrick Bourne is at least worth a claim.
So here's what I've got on.
Here's
what I got on Kendrick Bourne. So Mac Jones after the game said Kendrick Bourne's his go-to guy. He had a 20% target percentage. He greatly benefited from the up and pace game script of this offense. So Mac Jones had 54 attempts. Kendrick Bourne had 11 targets. Kendrick Bourne went 6 for 54 for 2 touchdowns. So percentage of points coming from touchdowns is very high. I think Kendrick Bourne in this offense is definitely someone worth snagging up off the waivers, because I think that if the season goes along and he's clearly a Nico Collins type player, that'd be fantastic for you in terms of a wide receiver 3, wide receiver 4 flex play. Yep. I think what we're underestimating here is how much more competent the Patriots offense is this season with Bill O'Brien calling plays. I think this is a real offense now. However, I think this is a week 1 overreaction because he caught 2 touchdowns out of his 6 catches, where Puka Nacua had 15 targets and 11 receptions. I think that is more replicable because targets are earned, my friend,
I think so too,
than catching 2 touchdowns. But I think both of these guys are good waiver pickups. I think
for sure.
I think Shaheed for the New Orleans Saints, and when we're looking in sleeper here, Kendrick Bourne is...
He was my third one,
Kendrick Bourne is rostered in 2% of sleeper leagues. Shaheed is rostered in 13% of sleeper leagues. So Shaheed, he only ran 3 less routes than Chris Olave. I thought he would be more of a bit player, but he was running a ton of routes. He had a 20% target percentage. He went 6 targets, 5 receptions, 89 yards, and a score. I think he's the legit number 2 in this offense. He brings a lot of juice. Derek Carr likes to rip those deep balls. I think we've got a legit talent here. He had an incredible yards per route run as a rookie, and he was undrafted. He looked really good. He looked like a ball player. So I think Shaheed is definitely someone worth picking up and getting on your roster here. I really do.
Yeah, I'm a fan of him. This was like kind of a guy that was like a best ball, just like gimmick, like throughout the summer. Yeah. And like I know like we've like watched him catch some deep balls last year too. But yeah, to your point, like 6 targets, that much route participation, like you can't deny that he had 2 less targets than Michael Thomas, who's just doing slants and underneath stuff. Like Shaheed is getting targets on deep balls worth big time fantasy points. So I'm a fan of Shaheed. I'm probably not starting him this week, obviously, but he does have a pretty friendly matchup in Carolina. I think Saints could score a ton of points against a pretty young defense there. So we'll see. I'm definitely all aboard the Shaheed train. Get him on your roster if you can, if you need wide receiver help.
Keegan, Shaheed was a favorite of yours. Walk us through why you would take Shaheed over Puka.
I just think the whole reason I said it is like, you don't play Puka next week. You just don't. He's going to play the Niners.
The only reason I wouldn't is because of the Niners. Yeah,
it's a stash.
Okay, you stash him, and then you're week 3, and then who do they have week 3? I had just looked this up. It's actually a pretty fair opponent.
Week 3 they're playing Cincinnati. Week 4 they're playing Indianapolis.
Oh yeah, dude. Week 3. Okay, so week 4, you get to week 4, and you're down to 1 week with Puka Nacua, where potentially Cooper Kupp comes back, and sure, maybe he goes off against Indianapolis, and then they have to play the Eagles. Like you're gonna
who just got torched by Mac Jones. Who just got torched by Mac Jones.
Chill out, dude. It's week 1. It's literally week 1.
15 targets is insane.
You said max bid on Puka Nacua. Yes. I don't give a fuck.
15 targets is insane, and I just already demonstrated to our viewers here that 30% of his snaps came in the slots, 70% of his snaps came out wide. This would indicate that when Cooper Kupp comes back and plays his normal slot role, that Puka Nacua is sliding into the Robert Woods role that was highly profitable for fantasy managers for
the
half a decade.
The Rams aren't good enough to support this all season.
If
Matthew
Stafford
that they won week 1
is healthy, yes. McVay and Stafford are good enough to support.
You can't
this.
flip-flop on your take on the Rams that you had all summer about how they'd have enough to support Cooper Kupp, and that's it. You can't flip-flop on that now and all of a sudden say, oh, well, Puka Nacua is the real deal.
No,
you can't sit here and say they have enough.
Because now we've seen a product, because now we have real tape, and Stafford
but Cooper Kupp's not there. That's the whole thing.
Tutu Atwell had 100+ yards.
Keegan,
it's a big pie.
Keegan, I'm telling
it's a big
you, dude,
pie.
Like,
the Seahawks gave up. They played awful.
They gave up.
Look, I'm not saying Puka's a top 24 play, but I'm telling you, man, when you can get a
you said
rookie
Max
who is yes, I'm doing 30-40% of fab on Puka Nacua. That's what I'm doing, my brother in Christ. And we are moving on to quarterbacks here. Wait, no, actually, I've got one more.
That's crazy.
I've got one more wide receiver here worth taking a dart throw on. Rashee Rice was pretty damn good in his debut. He only ran 12 routes, but when he was out there, he had 100% route participation on those 12 rounds. He had a 40% target percentage. This wide receiver room's kind of a mess, but he reminded me of Sammy Watkins, not like past his prime Popeye's biscuit, like 3 or 4 Sammy Watkins.
Week 1 Sammy Watkins?
We're talking about like Sammy Watkins when he was on the Bills, Rams, even when he was pretty fast on the Chiefs. He went 3 for 29 with 1 touchdown. This is a complete stash play, but this is somebody that I think as the year comes along and a wide receiver needs to establish themselves, like he already put up like 20 to 30% of Sky Moore's rookie season in one game. So I think he's definitely worth a stash. I wouldn't blow a ton of fab on Rashee Rice. I don't think it'll be super competitive, but he could be kind of a excellent like stash play for the rest of the season.
1, 2, 3% tops. Yeah.
I had Josh Reynolds too. He clearly looked like the second best wide receiver in that offense while Jamison Williams is out.
The ghost of Marvin Jones is probably droppable at this point.
What if he just has like a Zay Jones random season where he has a bunch of good weeks? He looked fast.
Just looked like really crisp out there. Yeah,
he looked good.
Yeah,
way better than
nice
Marvin
yak.
Jones. Yeah,
clean routes. That he's definitely the wide receiver too there.
Any wide receivers before we move on to quarterback?
I got no more. Keen, you got any for us?
No, I actually had Josh Reynolds on my list. Make sure Zay Jones is owned. Double check on
Nico.
Jaden Reed.
Nico.
Yeah, double check on Nico. But I feel like a lot
of
people caught up to the hype and did draft him at the end of this year. But that's another good one. But yeah, I feel like all the bases are covered there.
Nico is who we thought he was.
I'm just double checking. I actually did have a little list, but yeah, I think that covers it all.
At quarterback, I had 3 guys here. I cheated. One guy was 50% rostered.
That's cheating.
It was cheating. I made a whole list, then realized he was owned in more leagues. That guy's Brock Purdy. So if Brock Purdy's out there on the waivers, he went 19 for 29, 220, and 2 touchdowns. He's basically had that stat line every start of his career that he hasn't blown up his elbow in. So kind of insane. He 16.6 fantasy points, QB 10 finish. Has thrown for 200 yards and 2 touchdowns in every single start. And he has some sneaky rushing upside. I don't think he's going to have huge ceiling performances, but he basically put up all these points in one half. He has games against the Rams, Giants, and Cardinals coming up. If you drafted Aaron Rodgers, he's probably your ideal replacement if he's out there on waivers. I'd probably play him for the next 3 weeks before he has a matchup with the Cowboys. Thoughts on Brock Purdy?
Yep. Yeah, I agree. I was looking at him and I was like, oh shit, he's a little too owned. It's just such an easy system, dude. The guy just makes the right plays. It's really not all that tantalizing when you watch, but then you look at the box score and you're like, that was pretty efficient. Like, there you go Brock again. So yep. No arguments with Brock Purdy. I'm running out of excuses. Yeah.
Another quarterback here, Mac Jones. Pains me to say it. I am not a big Mac Jones guy, but finishes the day 35 for 54, so major catch-up game.
54 attempts was crazy.
They went down 30. No, they went down 16. I'm sorry, I was thinking of the Giants. Yeah. Oh, my God, my Daniel Jones shares. They went down 16 pretty early. 3 touchdowns for Mac Jones. He scores 24 fantasy points. He actually finished as the QB2 in week 1. That might be something we look back on
your bingo card,
at the end of the season. Bill O'Brien's a legit offensive coordinator. Look at the numbers that Deshaun Watson put up. Yep. He has familiarity with this system. This was the offensive coordinator at Alabama where Mac Jones was setting records when he was with the Crimson Tide. So I don't know how comfortable I'd feel about it, but if you lost Aaron Rodgers or if you have Anthony Richardson and you want another like safe play with Richardson, I like Mac Jones as like a garbage time guru this season. So I wouldn't put out a huge bid on Mac Jones, but I like him.
I've just placed a bid on Mac Jones. I legit had Mac Jones on my roster, and I tried to be the funny guy and scoop up Isaiah Likely, so my Mark Andrews like league mate couldn't get him, and I dropped Mac Jones because of it. Well, joke's on me because Aaron Rodgers no longer has Achilles. So I actually love the Mac Jones pickup. I feel like you're right. Like he has a real offensive coordinator right now. Like in a super flex league, I think he's like a must have on your team. So I'm an idiot for dropping him. And I have just placed $100 bid on Mac Jones. So look at me. I'm an idiot.
There you go. Let's keep this fun train rolling. I would like to go with
Mac Jones
guys.
is fun.
It honestly, what he did this week was kind of fun if you owned him in QB2. I'd be having fun with QB2. I had, like Daniel Jones in one league. I had Josh Allen tonight. So I didn't have any QB
Lamar.
fun. So,
my God, Lamar.
Mac Jones would have been more fun. So I'm going to go with Sam Howell. And I don't think his game was perfect, but I think a lot of people are forgetting this was Sam Howell's second NFL start. If you look at the box score, like it really wasn't that bad for a guy playing his second game. We were expecting a bit more against a Cardinals team that like pretty much no one has any respect for. But he went 19 for 31, just over 200 yards and a touchdown, plus another 11 yards and a score on the ground. QB 11 in his second NFL start in week 1, where a lot of these elite QBs are starting out pretty slow. This probably isn't someone I'm ready to start yet. But if you didn't land one of those elite quarterbacks, or even if you just want insurance for one of them, Sam Howell is currently owned in 2% of leagues. Like, that's unacceptable. This guy has shown flashes of being an NFL quarterback. So I'm going to stay on the Sam Howell train. He had some head scratchers, but again, that was his second NFL start. And in my opinion, looked pretty good. Got the job done. Pretty good for fantasy. Sam Howell. Keep the train rolling.
Yeah, I like Sam Howell in this spot. Another guy that I like in this spot, I probably like Sam Howell more because the rushing upside. I have Jimmy G here.
You can't quit him. You can't quit him.
I really enjoyed watching him without my emotional well-being tied to if we won the game or not. Guy's just a winner. Jimmy was 20 for 26, 200 yards, 2 touchdowns, and absolutely head-scratching INT. So it was peak Jimmy. 15.1 fantasy points. I think he finished as the QB 12 on the day against a pretty stout Denver secondary. Pretty damn solid wide receiver room there with Devontae Adams and Jacoby Myers. It was a weird game script. They probably should have scored more points. But I think he has like a decent floor if they just are in a bunch of shootouts. Again, he plays in a dome. He is now officially a dome bro, which is kind of crazy. Welcome to the squad,
wow.
Mr. Jimmy Garoppolo. I don't know. I'd rather have Brock Purdy, Mac Jones, Sam Howell, but
for sure,
he showed that he actually looked pretty competent, and this offense looked pretty decent.
His teammates just love him too. His teammates were so fired up on that last run to ice it. Dudes just love him.
So that's it for quarterback. Do you have anybody else?
It's more of like if things went like really like if Aaron Rodgers was your only QB and he went down this year, I think Baker Mayfield's worth considering. Actually looked decent last week, and it's more so just because of the matchup. The Bears' defense looked so bad, dude. They made Jordan Love look like a Hall of Famer. Baker Mayfield could easily be a top 10 play potentially next week if that defense is not cleaned up at all. So that's mainly just like because of the matchup. That's another guy where, dude, he was fired up. The teammates were just rallying around him, kind of running people over. It was just like, he's a fun guy to watch. Like, I would love to just hang out with Baker Mayfield.
Oh my
I just
God.
think he's a cool guy.
I can't believe
cool
he's
guy.
180'd. People hated him so much. Now, I was listening to a podcast and someone said Baker Mayfield like takes those big hits to win people over. It's like he takes the read option and gets smacked because it's just he has to earn the respect of his teammates, which kills me.
He's earning his stripes.
He's going to be so good when he inevitably is like a commentator. He's going to be incredible.
For sure.
In the booth.
He's going to be an awesome.
I'm quite excited.
Personality.
And hell of a TV commercial guy, as Keegan and I have riffed on. Moving on to tight ends here, and this is one of my favorite games in the world.
Gross.
This is tight end roulette. Keegan and I are, we love tight end roulette, and I've got 3 names here, and I'm gonna go from
Got 3, unfortunately.
I'm gonna go from good to degen, Okay, so like my last one is pure degen, and he might become my Kate Otten this season. So I'm quite excited to get there.
There will never be another Kate Otten.
He is generational. Okay, first tight end for me in Aidan. Let's see if you have it. Hayden Hurst. Do you have Hayden Hurst on your list? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, that's my one.
I feel like that should be on everybody's list.
Shockingly, not really owned in a ton of leagues. I'm looking at his ownership here.
12%.
Yeah. 12% here for Hayden Hurst. Hayden Hurst finishes the day with a 5 catch, 41 yards, 1 touchdown, 7 targets. It was kind of an
tight end 2 at 15 points, man. What a disaster for the position.
Kind of an attrition play here. Adam Thielen was a bit banged up. DJ Chark's not playing. They're playing Terrace Marshall. That offense is a wreck. He had a 90% route participation. No one's really there to catch passes. He's going to see volume, and he's got a little juice. He can make a couple guys miss. It's not complete dust when he catches the ball. So I've got him as my priority number 1. Priority number 2, Luke Musgrave. Do we have Luke Musgrave on this list? Or you had Hunter Henry, I'm guessing, as your second guy, right? Aidan?
No, I had Juwan Johnson. Just under 40%, so like that one barely fits the bill. But I think if Juwan Johnson's still out there, absolutely get on him. Didn't even like really have a good week. 3 catches, 5 targets, just over 35 yards. But I think he's going to be heavily involved in that offense. So it's more of like if he's out there and you need a tight end, maybe just like a dart throw. He's out there.
Okay, so Luke Musgrave, 3 receptions, 50 yards. He had 4 targets. The other target was a miss by Jordan Love, which would have been like a
wide open
50-yard touchdown.
He could have easily had a top 4 fantasy day.
Massive day.
Position.
Things you need
they connect.
to love about Luke Musgrave, 92% route participation. When he's on the field, he's running routes. 42% of his snaps came in the slot. This guy's a slot receiver. This is the exact type of usage we want to see. Now, Christian Watson was not playing, so we have to take this with a caveat, but now Aaron Jones might be banged up. I think Luke Musgrave is going to be a big part of this offense all season long. How good is this offense? What's the ceiling like? Who knows? But I think by the end of this season, I think Luke Musgrave is going to be locked in as a top 12 tight end play, and he's available in a decent amount of leagues. I've got Luke Musgrave here at 29% ownership, so he's going to be out there on the wire.
Yep.
I'd be remiss to not mention tight end number 1, Hunter Henry. That was not my degenerate play. He had a ton of snaps out of the slot. Hunter Henry does this where he has a couple big games, 2 or 3 a year. It kind of feels more like a best ball play.
It's classic.
The problem with Hunter Henry is his next 3 games: Miami, the Jets, Dallas. I don't feel like picking him up is like worth the effort. And the other problem with picking up Hayden Hurst, if you do go and do that, is like they got New Orleans next week. There's
really good against tight ends. Chig just had a goose egg, by the way.
Matchups. Yeah.
Chig. Anyone but.
It's a little grim at the tight end position this week for pickups. Like I totally understand chasing the like lead guys, and I feel like that's maybe the play. I would lean towards like the tight end position almost this week because it's week 1. Like wait and see who gets dropped. Like maybe somebody's frustrated with the tight end position, but I cannot in good faith tell somebody to go pick up Hunter Henry after they have to go up with Miami, the Jets, and Dallas 3 weeks.
Well, Miami gave up a touchdown to Donald Parham, so maybe Hunter Henry hits in week 2. But yeah, Cowboys and the Jets are not great matchups. And this is my last waiver wire edition. This is the last one of the episode.
Let me get one more in before you go like fully off the deep end.
Okay, let's see what it is. Who you got?
This is one that you texted me about that I had to like fact check you on. Zach Ertz had 10 targets in week 1.
What, dude?
What the
26 yards?
I knew somebody was going to
26
Dude,
yards.
what the hell was that?
Yeah, 26 yards.
I've been pretty ready for McBride to take off. Like, in my opinion, I didn't think Zach Ertz was even going to like play this year. Like, what incentive do you have to play for this offense and like put your body on the line other than like maybe trying to get traded? But like this stat line was also so stupid. He had 6 catches for 21 yards, no touchdowns. Like it pretty much amounted to nothing. But you've got to look at him having 10 targets versus McBride's 2, and it's like he's clearly the tight end 1 in that offense. Maybe it ends up being the security blanket for the revolving door of quarterbacks that will be in that offense. But it's something to at least be aware of. I'm not even trying to get him on a roster, probably, but 10 targets. I don't care who you are. You have my attention. That's potential fantasy.
At tight end, too.
All right.
Oh.
Go all the way in the deep end now. Go all the way.
What if I told you that you could get a tight end that got 6 targets this week, who ran 40% of his routes in the slot? He had a 93% route participation. He is in a high-flying offense, probably the best offense in football, and he could emerge as the clear number 3 behind Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. What if I told you could go pick up Durham Smythe right now on the waiver wire? Tight end who had 3 receptions for 44 yards, who basically was a slot receiver. Durham Smythe for the Miami Dolphins. Durham Smythe has let's see what his rostership is. He is rostered in 2% of sleeper leagues.
You're a sicko.
What if I told you go get Durham Smythe?
Just wait on it. That is something.
Just wait on it, fellas.
Keegan said no.
40% of his routes in the slot, 93%
I thought
route participation.
Puka was bad. Durham Smythe is worse. This is bad.
What people really should be doing is talking to their commissioners and getting rid of the tight end position, or at least switching them to wide receiver tights, because what we saw in week 1 was truly horrific.
I'm just telling you guys, Durham Smythe. You heard it here first. You heard it here first.
I'll put him on my watch list there.
You heard it here first.
I'll put him on my watch list.
And that's it. We had a ton of guys here. We went position by position. I feel pretty good. Before we sign off, Keegan, you got anything to say to the listeners?
My emotions have finally settled in, and yeah, the season is over.
Hey, that makes 2 of us, man. That makes 2 of us.
It's like when you wake up after a night out drinking and you wake up drunk and you're like, this is the best. Like, I'm like a kid in a candy shop. I feel great. Who's ready to keep going? And then the hangover, it sets in, and it's brutal.
We're seeing it. We're seeing the hangover, unfortunately.
1-0.
I mean,
1-0, Keegan.
Yeah, we might be 1-16 when it all said and done.
That defense is your run game and defense, and you got Nathaniel Hackett. Come on. You got Nathaniel Hackett.
Yeah, I know a quarterback in Denver who actually knows the Hackett system. Maybe we should give him a call. I mean, this is so sad. I mean, all of it has come crashing down on me throughout this pod. I think the Puka Nacua thing really just set me off and put me down the wrong path, because I'm just sitting here staring at the schedule thinking, oh, great. We got to go to Dallas, and then we got to play Bill Belichick, and then we have to play pissed off Pat Mahomes.
You guys are playing the Cowboys.
And then we go to Mile High. It's like, whatever. Russ is an
Is this
idiot.
is this like the upcoming weeks, or are you just picking random games?
No. These are the upcoming weeks. And then we got to play Philadelphia at home after we just faced off against Dallas, then New England, then Kansas City, then Denver. Then we go to Philadelphia, and then we take a bye week. Thank God. And then we'll have New York Giants, MetLife showdown. Who can get injured the least on the turf? And then we got to play the Chargers. Then we got Vegas, and then it's Buffalo, Miami.
What was your strength of schedule? This sounds absolutely awful.
Near the bottom, or near the top, depending on how you read the stat. But
yeah, you had to have been like top 4, top 6 hardest schedules. That is a gauntlet, dude.
Oh, geez.
No, I'm absolutely like folding into a complete tilt right now. Just
he was better than
who's the other QB? Who's the other QB behind Zach? Who's the third?
Tim Boyle. Oh yeah. Lions.
He didn't even dress tonight.
Lions great. Tim fucking Boyle.
They have to sign someone though.
Yes.
I don't think they'll trade, but you have to sign someone. If Zach Wilson goes down,
this is a Jet.
What if they bring the GOAT out of retirement?
No way.
No, I'd rather just play 17 games with Zach Wilson than watch Tom Brady put a Jets
All right,
uniform.
and that's where we're gonna end this one. That's where we're gonna end this podcast. Oh, well, thank you everybody for tuning in. Until next time.